Hey guys, and welcome to another speed build. Today we are building a Tudor village, and oftentimes going into my builds I'll get inspiration from a photo from Instagram or Pinterest, but this was not one of those times. I really didn't have much to go off of for this. I basically just knew that I wanted to use a couple of debug items. I really wanted to use the sewer drain that we just got from werewolves. I just placed it down there, and also the stone archway that came with University. I don't know if you know which item I'm talking about, but definitely keep an eye out for that one. And I figured the best way to incorporate these two items was to make a village with a stone wall sort of surrounding it, and then I could have the sewer drain coming out of it and incorporate those little archways to add a bit of interest, a bit of texture, and then just incorporate some little cottages around, give it a village feel, maybe add some landscaping, and just see where it takes us. So as you can see, the wall has begun to take shape a little bit, as well as this first cottage that I'm building here. And I really wanted these cottages to feel built into the landscape, so the bottom floor, which you can see there in green, is sort of tucked into the hillside, and the upper floor, which is sort of a Tudor style half-timbered look, hangs over the top of the hill. And now here I am kind of finishing up this little sewer area, adding some grass, making it look cute. I know it's a little weird that I was so inspired by like a sewer drain, but for some reason it spoke to me and I just wanted to include it. And now I'm just adding a little bit of landscaping back here to sort of cover this ugly terrain paint. But you may notice this build is a little more make it up as you go than most of my builds. Like for instance, I usually wouldn't move on from that first cottage before adding windows and all that good stuff, but I just really wanted to figure out the shape, so I do maybe jump around a little bit, but in the end it does come together quite well. I do go back and add windows, I promise, so hopefully you don't mind that too much. But anyway, here I am working on this second cottage here. I'm using these lovely columns from the new werewolf pack. They are like a distressed wood, and I thought they went really well with this style. You know, I don't know if it's because the pack is new and I'm just really excited about all these new items, or if they actually go really well with this style, but I found that the werewolf pack was quite useful in this build. And moving on, I add another staircase behind that first cottage, which leads up the hillside to this third cottage. I had a lot of fun mixing wallpapers in this build. Like, I used a lot of those base game timbers as well as a few of those werewolf wooden wallpapers, and then those half-timbered sort of Tudor style wallpapers that came with Get Together. If you watched one of my previous videos called like Enchanted Forest Cottages or something like that, I made them all very matchy-matchy, and I pretty much only used one wallpaper for those. And so for this one, I really wanted to switch it up and make them all a little different. It may not be totally on par with Tudor style, but I really liked it. And while I was rambling about wallpapers, I added that archway from University that I think is so cute, and I just used it to extend the wall, add a little bit of texture, make it look cute. I added a little platform on top of there so your Sims can walk across that. It is entirely functional. And then I add two more buildings, decorate one of those as a little pub and the other as a kitchen restaurant area, but feel free to change those into whatever you like. I will have all the information in the description if you want to download this or play in it yourself. And now I am just working a little bit more on this wall, wrapping it all the way around to the front of the village. And I'm sure none of you really care, but if you've noticed, I've been a little slower getting videos out lately. That is because I went away for a little while. I went home to visit my mom a while back, and my sister, who still lives at home, my little sister, and my mom actually just adopted a dog recently, so I got to meet him. He's a Yorkie Havanese mix, something like that. And he is just adorable. His name is Zorro, and I'm obsessed with him, and I'm going back really soon actually to visit them again. So yeah, if I fall off the face of the earth and you don't hear from me for months, don't worry about it. Look the other way. Yeah, if I'm not posting, I'm just visiting my family. But here I am back in sort of the center of the town. I wanted to add some little details right now. I added that little cart full of hay right in front there, as well as these little trash cans, a debug birdhouse, a little shed full of wood, as well as the mailbox from Seasons. At this point, I also decide it's time to finally paint these two buildings that I just left unpainted for a while. But again, just mixing and matching random wallpapers that I like. I use a lot of the roofing from Cottage Living as well, that thatched roof. I use that on pretty much all of them. Another thing that I used a lot of from Cottage Living is those vines that I've just placed down there. They have a name, I don't remember what it is, but I think they're really cute and I use them kind of all over. I finally get around to adding a window and a door to this little cottage up here, as well as the first cottage here. Just little details, windows, doors, all those things, balconies. Yeah, now I'm just getting around to some of these details that I skipped over while I was just getting the general shape figured out. And there's another werewolf piece, that cute little window. I thought that went well. I add a lot of flower boxes as well, and some more of those vines. I really wanted it to look, you know, naturey. I built it on this Cordelia's Secret Cottage lot, the one at the very, very top of Henford on Bagley. So I figured, you know, it's in the middle of the forest, a little overgrown, that sort of vibe. And then here we are at this like last cottage, the third one, tucked away at the top, and I decided to sort of fence off this area. It looked a little dangerous. And these are all live edit fences, if you were wondering. They're really easy to access with Twisted Mexie's Better Build By mod. I love them, they're really easy to use, and you have a lot more freedom, especially when you use a lot of terrain paint. I find the other fences can get a little glitchy, so I prefer these live edit ones. Some last minute details here, a balcony on the side of this cottage, a chimney sized down so it's nice and cute. I add these planter boxes from Werewolves. I think they're a little cuter than the ones that came with base game. They look a little more homemade. And I do add some little vegetables in some of them because I think it's cute. But if you want those planters to be functional, just delete those really quick and they should be good. I also added a couple of bee boxes that I think are cute. Those came with Seasons, and if I'm not mistaken, they can make your vegetables grow faster and like better quality. But anyway, now I'm back in the center of town, just finishing up with some landscaping. I found I'm really into all of the grasses that came with Eco Lifestyle. There's like this dark green one that's really cute, and this really tiny, like light green, almost white one that I think looks really realistic if you layer it with the dark green one. If you haven't used them, I highly recommend the Eco Lifestyle grasses. I like literally just noticed them. I am also adding these cute little hay bales. I believe they're debug items, and just like random live edit objects that came with Cottage Living, a box of turnips, all those cute little villagey things. I even add some mushrooms and things like that. Yeah, so this is what I mean when I say like layering the grass. I just kind of put them on top of each other and I think it looks really cute and overgrown, kind of gives a realistic vibe. Yeah, I've talked way too much about the grass from Eco Lifestyle, but I like it. And I did just discover it. Like, I just stumbled across it and I'm obsessed with it, so I might get over it soon, but for now, I'm obsessed with it. So yeah, I should probably find something else to talk about now. I am adding some more live edit fences here at the front. I decided to do that rather than to continue the wall all the way around, just because of gameplay purposes. You know, it would totally block your view, and plus I don't think it would look good in screenshots. But yeah, just adding some last minute touches before we start furnishing the interiors of the buildings. One thing that I will say is that none of these cottages, the ones that are residential cottages, none of them have a kitchen. I decided that it would be cute if they all went down to the pub for dinner or to the restaurant. I thought that would be really fun so that like the villagers could get to know each other, and then I could keep these cottages nice and small, but not too cramped. Like I felt like adding a adding a kitchen might be too much. So they all just have a bed, a couple of skill building items, a dresser, and a teeny tiny little washroom. For this cottage, I wanted to keep it warm. I use a bright yellow bedspread and that yellow rug that came with cats and dogs. I use a warm toned dresser. I just throw a couple of little items on there, including a cross-stitching kit so that your Sims can have something to do, some skills to work on, a little bookshelf, and of course they have their garden and the bees outside. I even added a little sink at the front entryway there so they can wash up after a day of farming, and that cute little shelf that came with cottage living has a little watering can on it. And then this is the teeny tiny washroom. It's quite simple, all wooden. That might not be terribly realistic, but I have seen entirely wooden bathrooms before, usually in a cottage or a cabin where things are sort of just thrown together. So I felt like it was appropriate for this style of build. And then we are moving on to another cottage. This one has a different color scheme, a lot dark. I used this canopy bed from the Industrial Loft Kit in a dark blue swatch. I also hang up these little maps and stuff. I thought it would be cool if the person who lives here is really into like academia, I guess, and also stargazing and what is that called? Astronomy. So I added a telescope, and in a minute we'll move downstairs and I'll add a cute little library. But for now, just another little washroom, keeping it simple, just the basics, toilet and shower. I don't even think there's a sink in this one, but anyway, since this is the only home with a basement, I thought it would be nice to give them like a fully functioning library. I used this little chalkboard that I think came from Get Together. I thought that was perfect. Maybe they can like sketch their math that they're doing or like their astronomy that they're doing. I just thought this person would be a giant nerd. I add that computer that's sort of like a typewriter, and that's the only computer in the whole build, but you could always add one to one of the shared spaces if you want all of your Sims to have access to it, or maybe it's a really tight-knit community. Maybe everyone comes into this guy's house and is like, "Can I use your computer?" And he's like, "Sure." I've never lived in a small town, but maybe that's what it's like. But anyway, in just a second here, we will move on to the kitchen or restaurant space. It's got a front entrance and a back entrance. Both of them are only accessible from the top of the wall, which I thought was cool. Up to 6 Sims can dine here at once, so if you wanted, you could have the whole village dining here. I use a lot of dark woods. I add a hutch. I add these really homey curtains from cats and dogs. I just really wanted it to have like a nice family welcoming feel. I go a little bold with the wallpaper. I go with this green paneling. A little weird, but I actually really like the way that it turned out. There's a little archway into this kitchen space that I will start working on now. This is the kitchen. I add these base game appliances that are just like old-fashioned looking. I thought those fit really nicely in here. And this sink goes really well with it. Did you guys know that that sink matches these like perfectly? Because I never noticed that before, and now I'm wondering if I'm just an idiot. But also, here's something. I decided not to do upper cabinets this time because last time that I built something, the kitchen would not work, and it was because my upper cabinets were too low, I think, and it took me forever to figure it out, and it was just a pain. So I decided to just not do them this time so that it would be easier. I still haven't play tested this yet, but I will right away. I'll play test it, make sure everything's functional and put it up, but hopefully the kitchen goes okay, because last time I poured like hours into figuring out how to make the kitchen work. But anyway, here I am working on this pub area. It's a bit of a tight squeeze, but I really wanted to use this 3-tile wide old-fashioned bar that came with cottage living. I thought it was the only one that really fit the vibe down here. I add a nice little chalkboard, maybe they write the menu on there, and there's even room for a little table for people to sit at. I know some people even like go to a pub for dinner, like a sandwich or something simple, so maybe they can do that. I know there's an interaction where you can grab chips for free at the bar, So yeah, this might be a fun place for your Sims to hang out. I even add a dartboard for fun and a little cozy fireplace so that your Sims can sit there and, I don't know, enjoy the vibes. I add a really bad bathroom as well. I use that toilet that's like fabricated, like it looks like an outhouse. I'll place it down in a second. There it is, that really ugly toilet. I figured I had to use it somewhere in this build, but yeah, I just included here another simple 3-tile bathroom. The bathrooms are really not exciting in this build, but... And now we are moving on to the final building that needs furnishing, this last little cottage. I wanted to do a bit of a different color scheme, lighter woods. I bring the stone in from outside, so it's like light blues, light woods, that sort of color scheme. And I thought maybe an artist lives here, so I just filled it to the brim with canvases and I add an easel. I am a little worried when it's time to play test this. Hopefully all goes well. I'll make sure it's functional before I put it up, I promise. But yeah, I really love the colors that came with Cats and Dogs. This like light blue swatch that's in the bed as well as the curtains I thought was really nice. It's definitely different than the other cottages, but it's got like a nice calm feel. And then if you download this, you can like pick whichever cottage suits your sim and go from there. I add this little paint stained tarp from City Living and these newspapers on the floor. I thought that was pretty realistic if you're going to be painting. And then to finish up, I just add a couple more clutter pieces and a mural above the bed that came with werewolves. I thought that was cute. But this build is pretty much done. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to leave a like if you did, or subscribe if this is your cup of tea, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching if I didn't say that already, and peace out. But